Table Talk as Jastremski and John Harper join the show. So the Knicks put on a clinic Friday night in Detroit, handing them a 30-burger. That's my vernacular for you, Harper. You can pick that one up. I know the Pistons aren't the Celtics. So, JJ, how do you put a win like this into perspective? Are you excited about the potential, or do you take it with a grain of salt?
Chelsea, to me, it's a combination of the two. Look, Detroit is going to be one of the worst teams in the NBA this season. I mean, that first quarter is basically all you need to know. I know they have a lot of lottery picks on the team, but it basically feels like a glorified AAU team. But I am encouraged by the potential I've seen with this Knicks group because, to me, they are so much more explosive, Harp, than they've been in years past. And I think having Karl Anthony-Towns and having Bridges and the idea that they can space the floor much better than they have in years past, it's allowing better looks from beyond the arc, and it's also allowing those back cuts that we saw them absolutely destroy the Detroit Pistons with. And again, I understand they are not the Boston Celtics. I understand this is a terrible basketball team they beat. But you go and put up basically 40 points and put the game out of reach in the first quarter, don't apologize for it. I'm encouraged by the offensive potential.
Well, you got to like the ball movement and the player movement, as you said. You heard Thibodeau talk about that as well. But, you know, I thought an NBA All-Star game broke out there in that first quarter. I mean, alley-oops, backdoors. It was a backdoor clinic. I mean, did they practice defense in Detroit? It didn't look like it. So it's hard to get excited about a win like that. But I agree with what you're saying, JJ. They do look like a team that could really turn into something. They really space the floor now nicely, and they move the ball. I mean, I don't want to go back to the Red Holzman Knicks yet, but they do move the ball in a way that I haven't seen for a while.
They do, and get everyone involved. But, guys, let's not forget, Karl Anthony-Towns was questionable for this game with a wrist injury. I think it's safe to say he felt fine. 21 and 11 Friday. He's 11 for 17 from behind the arc this season, Harp. Is Towns already proving the Knicks were right to pull the trigger on this deal?
You mean Cat? Is that what you were calling him? We call him
Cat, yes,
Cat,
absolutely. You got to pick that one up too, Harp.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I like what I've seen because early on, I know I mentioned this the other night, Shaq was getting on him in that Celtics game for not establishing anything inside. Since then, he has seemed to be play a little bit more inside. He got a big offensive rebound the other night. And we know he can shoot the three, but he doesn't look like he's forcing the three. He's letting it come to him. I like the fact that he is taking it inside occasionally because he can play it down there. If he plays, that's been the knock on him. Doesn't play strong enough sometimes. But I mean, when you have a guy like that, you know, he really just opens everything up if he's making his threes there as well.
Yeah.
He fits the team perfectly. I can't stress this enough. And I understand, to your point, there are going to be questions about toughness and whether or not he picks up dumb fouls. And I think we're going to see that over the course of the year. We're also going to see a guy who is insanely skilled. He is one of the most skilled big men the Knicks have had in a long, long time. I mean, with what he can do from playing inside, then taking it out from beyond the three-point arc. We're talking about a 40% three-point shooter. And again, that floor spacing. He, to me, being a part of the team has really helped with that, Chelsea. That's something they didn't have a year ago.
This is what they brought him in for. And pairing talents with Jalen Brunson has been a sight to see. Brunson with a game-high 36. JJ, are Brunson and Towns already one of the best 1-2 punches in the East? What do you think?
I think they're in the conversation. Now, look, number one, you got to give the guys in Boston that title.
Yeah.
I mean, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, with what they did last year, and not only that, Harp, what they've done over the last 5 or 6 years. Their teams are in the conference finals basically every single year, mix in a couple NBA finals. Now they have a championship. They've earned that. But when you look at the other dynamic duos, I know Embiid and Maxey are great. Embiid never plays. To me, Brunson, Towns, they have the look to be a top 3 duo within the East, and the rest of the Knicks team is pretty darn good. I love it.
Yeah, and the big guy in Milwaukee, they're not doing much either so far. So, yeah, I would throw them up there. I would like to see them run a little bit more pick and roll and not just be always looking to space the floor and get the threes, because I think Brunson and Cat could really be a dynamic pick and roll team. So I think that would be something to look for as well.